All right, so we are starting up. Nope. Now we're starting up because you got to press the play button
to get it
on these things. Anyway, welcome. I'm Raphi, Salem. This is
Marty, Katz.
And today we are with Dawn Moore. Dawn, hi. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us today. We have definitely talked about this for a month. We've been trying to coordinate.
At least.
So.
And we are very busy people, which is a good thing, because if you weren't busy, then what would you do? You would just be sitting down on your couch. How boring. Right. So today, as you mentioned, happy Valentine's Day. Today, for those of you who are watching the video, you have this, but for those of you who are listening, what's wrong with this picture?
So we have red.
We have
red, and we
have not
no
red.
Okay, so let's just, Marty, now remember, the people who aren't watching, I trust Dawn. Dawn seems like she knows a lot about life.
She does.
She does, and she wore red today. So the question to the audience is, who is not wearing red? Is Marty not wearing red, or is Raphi not wearing red?
Raphi is not wearing red today.
Oh.
It reminds me of kindergarten. Which one does not belong?
Oh.
Exactly. So let's just put everything on the table here. This is not on script. Marty, you've been married for how many years?
39.
39 years. Okay. You have a slight advantage over me.
In what way?
In the way of, I have not been married for 39 years. We'll just leave it at that.
Congratulations. I've only been married 35.
Oh,
yes.
We're in the same neighborhood,
Young,
for sure.
Young people here. That's what we're
Yeah, we
doing.
got married at what, 12?
Right. You always say.
I was in middle school.
Yeah, middle school. For my bar mitzvah, I also saved on the wedding.
2 in 1.
Yes, it's 2 for 1 festival. So yes, the year of my bar mitzvah, 1983, my parents said to my older sister, who was 9 years older, when she was younger, when I was born, they said, you can get married any year of your life except for that year. And of course, that year she decided to get engaged and married. So sorry, parents out there who are thinking the same exact thing about finances.
Oh, that was driving this, the finances, right?
It's all about finances. You can always have a celebration,
That's
but
true.
can you pay for it?
The
I
same.
had to actually do the math to when my bat mitzvah was. I was like, wow, he knows the year of his bar mitzvah.
Yes.
I had to actually
I
go,
don't
when was
remember
I
mine
born?
either.
Age 13. Okay, I can do that math.
Yes. Anyway, we're back with Dawn Moore. Dawn, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for asking. You know, that's always a fun question. I introduced myself as a sales and marketing strategist because that seems to be the umbrella that covers just about everything. I've been doing sales and marketing for just about 30 years. And then I was very
During your bat mitzvah, that's when you
just
got started?
afterwards, yeah.
Yes.
I got married young, and we traveled all over the world, and actually sales and marketing is something that's a needed skill, and you can do it just about anywhere. And then I had the privilege of being a stay-at-home mom for 20 years, and then 9/11 hit, and my husband's a captain for American Airlines. So I just paused for a second. And then we decided we didn't know where aviation was going to go, so I ended up going back and getting my master's degree. And during that time, I've always been a coach. I continued coaching, but I found that I had this love for teaching at the university and college level. So I did that for a number of years, and then I decided to take my act on the road and did a 2-year international speaking tour and spoke with tens of thousands of entrepreneurs.
Wow.
From coast to coast and in London and in the Bahamas, and found that my ability with words and to help people communicate better was really a need in the business world.
Sure.
Because many business owners struggled with finding the right words to communicate not only their message, but how to work with clients, how to close clients, how to create relationship capital.
I'm totally going off script here, and I don't want to talk about it now, but I'd love to hear your take on pricing of services. But that's a little foreshadowing to what
Can we
we
go
can
from
talk
pricing into fulfillment?
about. Absolutely.
That's a good segue.
That's definitely something that we can discuss. But before we get into all that, Marty has this. I don't. Did you make up the 3 rules of marketing?
I did.
The Marty 3 rules of Marty marketing.
Well, yes, I did.
Okay. Well, as you know, we started up this blog, podcast, website, YouTube channel, et cetera, all based on the whole idea of business development, because we are biz dev leaders. But how does business development for you, Marty, tie into the 3 rules of marketing, and what are the 3 rules of marketing?
Well, we'll move just for a minute to postpone the definition of business development as sales. And so marketing really is a portion of business development. It is what prepares for the sale. So marketing creates awareness of a particular product or service or company or organization, and engagement with it, which leads to a separate sales strategy. So sales strategy would follow, and business development are all the component parts that take place. So in order to fuel this, the strategy that I've developed is my 3 rules of marketing. The first rule of marketing is nobody cares about you.
True that.
It's because people have their own lives, they have their own problems, they're only interested in what's in it for them. The second thing is that they would only remember the problem you solve. No one cares about your background, your credentials, your processes, your procedures, your achievements. That's incidental. But they will remember the problem that you solve, which should be resonant with them. And the third thing is, they're not going to do the work to figure it out. There's a lot of stuff that they have to kind of paw through and think about and decipher. They're not going to do it because people are overwhelmed. So those are the three rules of marketing.
Very good. So Don, I know you have something to say about this, because in the prep before this, you're like, wait a second here, Marty, and they were about to like get out the fisticuffs, but I maybe I
We'll call it
should
the battle of words.
maybe I should have sat in the middle for this. Not only for the symmetry of the red and the blue. I did wear the blue today, but I wear blue mostly every day. Anyway, please, Dawn, what do you say about Marty's 3 rules of marketing?
Well, I do agree with you in that people buy a solution and they buy the results and they buy you. That's really what people are buying. And many times I'll have clients and they're like, well, I went with you because I wanted you. And I feel like you can give me the solution that I'm looking for. I think where we differed quite a bit was on the word close.
Right.
Because I take an attitude of serving rather than selling. And I find that many of my clients just have head trash around the word sales. And as soon as it comes to selling something, they shut down. So my approach is to really soften that for them, because I ask you, if you have a product, service, or opportunity that brings value to the marketplace, and you solve a problem for someone, yet you don't offer that solution to them, are you doing them a service or a disservice?
A disservice.
So in my way of approaching people, then I say, then what you're doing is you are holding back from giving them an opportunity to have a problem solved by not offering them your product, service, or opportunity. And then you said...
Well, what I said then is it's really about the definition of what closing means. A lot of people have judgments about closing and this head trash that you talk about. I run into this all the time with people. See, my definition of closing is exactly the same as yours for sales. It is the same. It means how do you develop an opening conversation? How do you lead people through the process? But that typically will not occur unless there is some awareness of an engagement with your product. So these are 3 separate areas of marketing or sales. So one is closing, which is the last piece, but it includes everything that you said. So it's my definition actually matches yours.
I wanna jump in here because you used the word head trash, and then you followed up with the word head trash. I have never heard that word before.
No, really?
I mean, and I have a BA in psychology, so I know nothing.
So people have these beliefs, these assumptions about the world, about life, and sometimes those beliefs serve them and sometimes they don't. And when it comes to business, unless you accept payment, then you're going to be out of business.
Correct.
So having a mindset around providing value for someone then negates that fear of asking someone to engage in business with you or close the sale.
Mhm.
And those limiting beliefs I call head trash, and you need to kick it to the curb. I also call it monkey mind, because people have these beliefs, and their beliefs, they can be changed.
Is that discriminatory against monkeys, though?
I am not a PC person, so I should have a
Oh,
sweatshirt that
jeez.
says
Oh,
I am
boy.
not for
Uh-oh.
everyone.
Oh boy.
He
Oh,
told me
boy.
here in a
Now-
minute.
Oh my God, the monkeys are going to be banging down the doors.
Maybe they'll write on the airplanes as therapy pets.
Oh.
That's a great
I
idea.
have never heard that before, but that's a great idea.
You be the first.
We should create a website around that.
Well, I
So-
do own No More Monkey Mind.
You do?
I do,
Oh.
because I think mindset is everything. So when you said your very first step in your marketing, Marty's marketing map, it's mindset or awareness, I agree, because in my process, I believe everyone has a success process.
Mhm.
And one of the things I do for clients is help them identify it. How you do anything is how you do everything.
Right.
But when you can identify what has allowed you to be successful throughout your life and know what those steps are, then you can create anything based on your own intellectual property. And in my process, awareness is the first step. Awareness of your clients, awareness of the language that they're using, awareness of their code and how they're wired as a human. And all of this plays into developing their communications collateral, their marketing collateral, and how they're going to develop their business.
So I'm just going to roll back a little bit because, as we said before, the forum is usually about business development, and I always ask the same question of how do you define business development versus sales? Because you kept on mentioning the word "in my process." So are you talking about your business process, your business development process, your sales process, or other?
Yes.
No, all the above.
It is, because I believe human behavior and marketing, relationship management is really what business development is. Because in order to be in business, it's either going to be B2B or B2C, but there are going to be human beings involved in either case. And learning how to communicate with that other person in the style that they prefer can allow you to develop that know, like, and trust that so many people talk about,
Sure.
or the rapport management that's engaged with business development. And oftentimes, you're going to have people who want to do business with you, even though they don't know how, but they trust you, they like you, they know you get results, and then they're self-closers. So that's where sales comes in terms of the transaction, but I prefer to look at it more as transformational, that's what business development is, that it's a win-win, a value add over the long term. You have to know your numbers, like what is the lifetime value of a client? What is the cost of client acquisition? What is the cost of client support? These are all metrics in business development, but it all comes down to the relationship. Do you frown when that number comes up on your phone, or do you look forward to talking to that person?
Right. So I'm just going to jump in again because Marty, you introduced me to Dawn.
Right.
How did you meet Dawn?
I took Dawn's workshop about a year and a half ago.
How did you
something like
find out about the workshop
that.
before
So
you
we have
took
a mutual colleague who introduced us. And that's how I found out about it. He
it? Okay.
introduced us.
All right. So number one, introduction.
People.
People, relationships. Number two is, did you sign up online? Did you call her up? Did you?
It was an invitation, wasn't it?
I signed up through this mutual colleague of ours.
Okay. But do you have a form? Do you have a website?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Give me the whole process of how you guys met.
So with my colleague, there is a way that you can actually find out what we call it your code, crack your code. Because with 100% efficacy, it will show you what your buying behavior is. Where I'm a unicorn is that I have learned how to interpret those results and train people how to shift from their natural buying behavior or decision-making behavior to reflect or mirror that of the person who they're intending to do business with. So it's great to know what someone's decision-making behavior is, but it becomes more important in the business development process to know how to shift to talk to them in their language. So I use my site, which is personalitycoder.com, and anybody listening is welcome to go get a free assessment. Just go to www.personalitycoder.com. You'll see my name in the upper corner. It says invited by Dawn Moore. It takes 90 seconds. And then once you move the cards according to your values, it will then send you a free report that's in much more detail. And if you don't get it immediately, check your spam folder. And it helps you to identify what your natural decision-making ability is based on values.
Okay, time out right there, because Marty, I wanted to hear about the process, because for me as a marketer and as a digital marketer, you were introduced by a friend.
Oh, yeah.
And then, did you specifically get the invite? And then did you sign up? And then I want to hear about her program and your reaction.
Well, I signed up to this mutual acquaintance of ours. That was my sign up.
So
It was
they
an
signed you up?
invitation. So
He-
he contracted with me to come in here to New York
Ah,
and to provide a training for his best clients, customers, friends, associates, colleagues.
Right.
So people flew in from all over,
okay.
and we did first a one-day workshop, and then he flew me back in, or I came back in, we did a two-day workshop, which was a follow-up on the skills, the building block of the skills platform.
Okay, so Marty, tell me your initial reaction and
He
then
fell in
your
love.
post.
Well, I should just tell you in terms of the results of it, I was really able to identify not only the way that I process information, but to map my own approach with my own prospects. So I could speak in their language, and I use this to this day. So if somebody is, for an example, they need a lot of information, and it wouldn't be native to me to want all that information, but I know that I figure out who I'm dealing with, so I'll be very conversant with them in providing them with information. If they, on the other hand, are very much interested in making fast decisions, I'll be able to do that. So I'm able now in my own business development activities, my own sales activities, all of my revenue generating activities, to keep this in mind when I meet with people, when I talk with them, so that it's a tool that I use.
Okay.
And
In-
specifically for the close, there's language based on the different personality types. So if you have somebody who's high action, you simply say to them, which credit card would you like to put that on? And they're not offended by that. But if you use that same language with somebody who asks a lot of questions, what we call a high knowledge person, they're going to be hugely offended by that, because their process for making decisions is usually slower.
Okay.
And then you have another personality type who wants to know first steps, next steps. So the language in the process of doing business or closing would then be the next steps for us would be. And you tell them what that is. And then you have people who are very relationship oriented, and you start using the word our. So together we will be able to name the result and the benefit of the result, and they're likely to then feel that they're in community with you, because they're going to want the eye contact, they're going to want to see the heart space. So that's why I go back to understanding human behavior and relationship marketing,
Yeah.
because if I were to use the wrong language because I'm not
Aligned with,
there or even aware of their preferences, then it just
Then it's not
takes
gonna work.
longer. Your business development is truncated.
Right. So as a behaviorist, because as I said, I have a BA in psychology, so I know a little bit to be dangerous. I know enough
Love it.
enough to be dangerous. So I can ask this question: do you have to be open to even hearing the message? Meaning,
you mean the Dawn's message?
yeah, because what I'm looking at, Marty, because you've been in the workforce for a few years longer than me, is that we are all creatures of habit.
Agreed.
And a lot of us have closed minds at a certain age or at a certain professional level. We stop learning. It's just human nature. Like, I already know everything. I'm already doing what I do. And you can't teach an old dog new habits. Is that how it goes? New tricks.
Have you ever
trends.
heard the story about the gentleman that were sitting in front of the fireplace, and there was an old dog that was laying there, and occasionally the dog would just let out a yelp? Do you know that story?
No.
I don't. Please share.
So they're sitting there and they're having a conversation much like we are, and the dog's by the fireplace and yelps. And they just keep talking, and then the dog yelps again. So the guest says to the host, "Why is the dog yelping?" The host says, "Well, he's laying on a nail." And the guest says, "Well, why doesn't he move?" And the host says, "Well, I guess he's just not uncomfortable enough." So a person will have a closed mind until they get uncomfortable enough.
Interesting.
Until they lose enough sales, or until they get enough negative publicity online,
Yes.
or until they get enough of a pain point that they begin to awareness that they need a solution.
Very, very interesting, and very apropos, and very relevant, because that's where I was going with. I'm glad you all fell into my trap. That Marty took your course when?
About a year and a half
About a
ago.
year and a half ago. So I take a look. Marty's one of my gurus. I look up to Marty as
Smart
being
man.
in the advertising industry for over 30 years, longer.
He started when he was 12.
Also, right, in my bar.
Marriage,
Bar mitzvah.
business.
It all goes back to the bar mitzvah. So, so I am always fascinated by. I used to work as a behavioral psychologist with soldiers back when I was younger.
PTSD, I'm sure.
Well, that's a completely separate topic, but our study was, and our research was all about motivation versus discipline.
Correct. Good topic.
So I am so curious how you take someone like Marty, who's been doing his work, his professional career for decades, and then he gets introduced to a Don Moore, and he's open-minded enough to say, I can learn something. So I'm even taking this a step backwards. You've got your learners who believe in the value of learning and education and continuous learning and education.
Correct.
And then you've got people who are stagnant in their careers. And you touched upon it, I think, with the comfort zone.
Mhm.
Right.
With the comfort zone. So how do you identify the people who are in the comfort zone and out of the comfort zone, and the people who are open to education?
Oh, I love that question.
That's a good one.
Because
Sometimes I just, come up with good
brilliant.
stuff.
Can I answer it in
I-
a slightly different way?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm a trained listener. And I think you listen with your ears, and you listen with your eyes,
Mhm.
and you watch facial expressions and body
Body.
language. And when I was doing my workshop, I am a keen observer, and I listen to the words people use, and especially the questions that they ask me.
Mhm.
And it became apparent that there were some human relationship challenges in the room that were causing people to feel that pain point, like the dog lying by the fireplace. So I then started to answer questions with the what if scenarios. What if those problem people were to disappear because you were able to speak in their language and they felt heard and visible for the first time? Well, now that opens some minds that might have been closed, because I'm asking people to consider relationships that were in conflict. And in our culture, there are a lot of divorces, there's a lot of conflict, there's a lot of workplace stress and strife that can be alleviated simply by listening. And I ask the question, what's more important, what was said or how it was interpreted? And then I look around to see where the geniuses are in the room who know it's both.
I'm pointing, you can't see this unless you're watching the video. I'm pointing at a genius right now.
Thank you.
And when you can recognize that you have to take responsibility for the words that you're speaking, as well as are they landing, resonating, and being understood by the person you're attempting to communicate with, now you have the potential for a conversation and communication that's effective. If you don't, then it can shut down, and that ends your business development because they're not likely to become a client or they're likely to leave. So many times I work with entrepreneurs and business owners who have clients that are leaving. Well, let's figure out why, because it could be a simple way that you're presenting yourself to them where they don't feel heard or understood or valued.
Yeah. So I always ask this question, and we're running out of time. So the question is, how has technology throughout your careers and your career specifically, how has technology played a role in everything that we've talked about today?
I'm a nerd. I love technology. Since we're talking about, bar and bat mitzvahs, when I was in high school, we had the binary cards that we used to walk around with a stack of binary cards, and you didn't want someone to hit you because your whole computer program would then not work.
Yeah, it's gone.
And as people enter the workforce, knowing how to use technology, even if it's something simple like hard technology as computers, it has made the world a smaller place. And one of my students is actually writing an essay as we speak on the blessing and the curse, the blurs of technology. Because while you can reach more people, it makes it impersonal.
Right.
So there are a lot of benefits, but there are detriments with technology. But the bottom line is it's not going away. So finding the technology that's going to advance your business becomes really critical, and to work with experts like you for reputation management and for marketing and communications specificity, it becomes really important to have that team around you. And if you're not fluent in technology, make sure and hire people who are.
Yes. Yeah, I think Marty has recognized that.
Yeah, for sure, because I'm not really particularly fluent in a lot of technology, but Raphi is, so we work together, so I surround myself with people, as you just said, who know how to do it.
Yes, and it's the old adage of, if you surround yourself with smart people and with savvy people.
Yeah, it makes you look good.
Definitely makes you look good. So let's close off with this. Give us a brief about Banker. What are those cards in your hand? So the people that are watching, Dawn has four different color-coded cards in her hand. What is that all about?
So Hippocrates, who is the father of modern medicine, he realized back in 400 BC that he couldn't speak to all of his patients the same way. So he is the originator of all types of personality science, whether it's bank code, or it's DISC, or it's Myers-Briggs, or it's talent dynamics, or the plethora of assessments that are out there to understand human behavior. So this particular system that I am a certified and licensed trainer in is super simple. That's why I use this one, but I combine it with all kinds of assessments, because in 90 seconds you will know the decision-making behavior of anybody in any environment. And it works for personal relationships, business relationships. It identifies the buying behavior, the decision-making behavior immediately. The research was done at a university in California, so it's 100% efficient, and you have a white paper to back it up.
All right. And on that note, with 1 minute left, basically, why don't you tell us, Dawn, how people can reach you, website, social media? I'm assuming if you're a nerd, as you say. By the way, what is the difference between a nerd and a geek, Marty?
I think
Very
they're the same
little.
thing. Yeah.
I thought we were going to come out with something
I think they're pretty much the same.
brilliant. I think there is a difference, but that's not important. Please tell us.
So you
How
can
people
go
can
for your
reach
free
you.
assessment at personalitycoder.com, my gift to you. And on social media, like my business page, if you want to be nice to me, it's Dawn Moore, my name, Mindset Ninja. And you can find me, like my page.
That's all over. That's on Facebook.
It's Facebook,
Okay.
and it's my brand. It's all about health, wealth, and a positive self.
All right, Marty. As a closing, I know it's Valentine's Day. Are you going? Did you buy your roses already, or do you have to do that?
No, today's actually an anniversary for my wife and
Wait,
myself.
what?
Congratulations!
Well, today's the
day.
day I proposed.
Oh,
Right.
So-
congratulations.
Very romantic.
So we're going to a Chinese restaurant tonight.
Wait, it's
Because it's-
Christmas also?
No, it's not Christmas.
Oh, okay. All right.
So we went to a Chinese restaurant because we
I got
both
that.
like Chinese food.
Lovely.
So that's going to be our big night out.
Very good, very good. And Dawn, anything else to say to the listeners out there?
Just if you need any kind of help when it comes to relationship management online and social, then Raphi's your guy. And anything to do with marketing and communications, then you absolutely want to work with Marty Katz.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Dawn, for joining us on this